Hello and welcome back to Ocarina of Time. It's been a while, I know, but I've been in school. So today I'm going to be covering what many people may think to be the worst part of the game, the Water Temple. And what makes this the worst part essentially is the constant need to open and close the menu to put on and take off the iron boots. That's only a console problem though. In the 3DS version it's an equipable item and you can just press the button to take them on and off. So I'm just going to fast forward every time I do that so it's not boring for you. So come down here to the bottom floor with the corridor with the two torches. And look who it is. Someone seemingly familiar, except, well, older now. It's Princess Ruto, and somehow she recognizes you immediately, even though she's never seen me underwater with a blue shirt on. Anyway, so I apologize for the frame rate here. Didn't look like this while I was playing a game. Doesn't really matter though, this isn't all that important. All she's saying is that I'm a terrible man for making her wait 7 long years to marry her, because she is my fiancée after all, so she says. Now, she's going to explain the situation of Zora's domain, which we've already seen. It's frozen, and she says that Sheik saved her under the ice, somehow. And he has a request for you that she wants to save Zora's domain and all of the Zora people. Which is certainly great, but I don't really think she quite knows what she's doing, but I'll give it to her for that. So she's going to tell you about ways to change the water level in the temple, and that she's going to lead you to one of them. So you can see she swims up there, and you can see her shadow right there on the floor. It disappears when I get close. So I'm just going to float up by taking off the iron boots. And you look right here, you're going to want to remember that cracked wall. It will be important later, so don't forget about it, please. Now, go ahead and come out of the water. And before that, I'm going to go ahead and enter this door. Also, this is apparently where Princess Ruto was. But in this room here, there are new enemies called spikes. Now, you may have seen a couple of these. I don't know for sure. But you may have seen a couple of these in the large center room. I didn't see them really just because I hurried to the bottom floor to see Princess Ruto. Now, there are a few ways to kill them. You can use the sword, though it's not very safe. You can use the bow and arrow, or you can just use the hookshot. I prefer the hookshot. It's the most reliable way because you can run out of arrows, but you can't run out of hookshot. And that's why the hookshot is probably the best item in Zelda. Now, after killing them, a treasure chest is revealed, and it's just the dungeon map. So, pretty sure you know how this works. I'm just going to skip the text. Now through the door again, of course, you'll see Ruto is nowhere to be found. She's just gone, apparently. And I'm going to equip Pharaoh's Wind here because I'm going to use it here, but first I'm going to show off how this works. You have to play the Song of the Royal Family to make this water level change. And the Song of the Royal Family, of course, in this game is known better as Zelda's Lullaby. It's known that way to the player at least, but to the Royal Family it's known as the Song of the Royal Family, because they wrote it. Now I'm going to use Pharaoh's Wind. It didn't let me do it while the water was lowering, I guess, probably due to hardware limitations. So I'm going to use Pharaoh's Wind here to save me a little bit of time. Not too much time, but it certainly will save me a little bit of time, and sadly, yes, that means there is some backtracking in this dungeon. Now, you come down here and you'll see there are 2 torches along the corners here. Now you have a couple of options. You can use Din's Fire, or you can just use the arrows, and you can shoot them through fire. Pretty interesting mechanic. You see this quite a lot. So this is Adult Link's version of Deku Sticks, because he can't use them. Now I would recommend you to break these jars, because they do hold arrows. And there is quite an abundance of arrows many places in this dungeon. One over here, for example, a new enemy, a shell blade. Now these are clam-like enemies. Their weak muscle in their mouths are their weak spot, and they drop arrows upon death, as you see. They cannot be defeated with a sword, or at least I'm not very good at defeating them with a sword, because I haven't done it yet, so I always use the hero's bow or the hookshot to defeat them. Again, the hookshot's probably the most reliable source because you can't run out of hookshot. That's just what makes it so good. Okay, in that treasure chest is a small key. I'll be needing that later. So, there are many places in this dungeon with annoying small keys, and I'm going to get them out of the way. But for now, what you want to do is make your way to the room to the south. I know you can't really tell any compass directions yet because I don't have the compass. But I'm working my way clockwise in here. Now this room is for an optional Golden Skulltula, so if you don't care about it, then I guess just skip ahead a couple minutes in the video. Now go ahead and blow up this weirdly shaped floor tile with a bomb. And then you're going to have to switch on and off the iron boots again in here. And do be careful, there's a shell blade on the floor here, so just defeat him with the hookshot, and then you'll be okay. Now swim up by taking the iron boots off, and it is worth mentioning too that this room in the 3DS version is a little bit different because the puzzle up ahead, it's solved the exact same way in both versions, but the way it is solved, I guess the placement for a crystal switch is different. But it is you hit a crystal switch to open those bars. Let me just kill these Tektites first. Now in the 3DS version, the crystal switch is up against the back of this dragon statue, but in the console version, it is behind the bars. Now many people say you'll have to do a spin attack to actually be able to hit it, but what you do instead, actually, to save magic, or if you're not good at the quick spin, you want to stand up and just vertical slice it by Z targeting and then just pressing the B button. And then behind here is a Golden Skulltula. Totally optional, as I said, but if you are hardcore and into 100%ing, like I am, then get it. Alright, that is it for this room. In Master Quest, I will say this room is a lot weird because, or it's a lot weirder because you need to return to this temple if you want to get a Golden Skulltula. You need to return to this temple after completing it because you'll need to collect an item that isn't available in this temple, which makes the Water Temple even worse in many people's opinions, but well, I don't mind it too well. I've played this so much that where I pretty much know where I'm doing all the time. Later in this video there was a part where I forgot something and I edited the video in such a way to where it still flowed and was smooth. More on that later. But anyway, come over to the next wall here, which I believe is the west. Yeah, the west. I mix up east and west sometimes. I know, I'm an idiot. Push this block all the way. That is not all the way. That is. And yeah, this is the west. Okay, so you want to... Actually, you don't want to dive down. You do want to switch in your menu and equip the iron boots again. I'm pretty sure... No, diving down actually works here. Yes, diving down does work here because I can just... I don't have to take the iron boots off to be up here. So you can see down there there's a spout of water in the floor. And you can hit this crystal switch and then it will rise up. Do be careful though. I tried to kill the Tektite with the spin attack. Didn't work. Well, anyway, now in this room, this is a room I actually often forget about, especially in newer playthroughs. You can see there's a hole in the wall up there, almost like maybe there's a room up there. We'll see in the future. There is, but I can't access it yet. Anyway, there is a crystal switch in the mouth of this dragon statue, and you'll need the hookshot to hit it. I will also mention too that there are a couple of instances where I've had to take a couple of tries at timed switch puzzles because aiming on this emulator is just the worst part of using it. I don't know if it's maybe the controller I use, it could be the emulator, I hadn't considered the controller. But enough on that. In that chest is a small key, collect it, and then hit the crystal switch again. Jump in the water, and it probably would have been a more wiser thing to do. Probably would have been a wiser thing to bomb that, so I would have maybe just a little bit more time, but I still had enough time regardless, so it doesn't matter. I guess I would suggest for you to bomb the crystal switch and then immediately get in the water. And again, I didn't put on my iron boots, I just dove because I didn't have to. Alright. I like to sneak attack that Tektite. Now you can claw shot, or sorry, hook shot, this is not Twilight Princess. You can hook shot over to here, or hit the crystal switch, whichever you prefer. Claw shotting takes less time. And then do not take the iron boots off here. Instead, use the hook shot to bring yourself up. because you'll be stuck, and unlike Twilight Princess, you can't use the hookshot while swimming. Only while under the water completely with the iron boots on. Alright, with that aside, you should have 2 small keys. Well, 1 now after opening this door. You come in here, and then it's not apparently obvious what you do in this room until you look up. This is sort of inside the main central pillar in here. And then you can see another Triforce tile here on the corner of the wall. And you just have to play the Song of the Royal Family or Zelda's Lullaby in front of it to activate it. And you can see underneath that platform that just rose, there's a hole. In the 3DS version, it plays this cutscene that zooms in on it a little bit more to make it more obvious. And there are other ways that makes it more obvious in the 3DS version. There are color-coded lights around and indicators for where to change the water level, which is certainly helpful. And it probably makes this dungeon a good 35 minutes rather than maybe 45 minutes to an hour. This was a good, I think, hour and a half my first time completing the water temple. It was awful. So hit this crystal switch, you get a bunch of spikes and some shell blades. Really just keep your distance, use the hookshot to fight them. You can just... I like to use my best friend Z targeting here to kill them because it just helps so much, especially with the shell blades. Now after killing those, you get bundles of 15 arrows, which is incredible. And then here I'm just going to go ahead and take the iron boots on and off again. So, or just take them off so I can float to the top. This is a very often forgotten key. Please don't forget it. It's very easy to forget, especially on the console version where it's not obvious on where to go. Okay, now to leave this beneath these rooms here beneath the central pillar of the dungeon. Time to again go in the water, take off, put on the iron boots, and such. So now I just have to float to the very top, and by very top I just mean to the level we raised the water, because actually floating to the very top here isn't really possible because number 1, there aren't any doors, and number 2, well, you can't actually access this room with the water raised to the 3rd level as it was when we entered. Now the door behind us closes. You can shoot the arrow through the torch to ignite it again, but there's really no purpose in ever doing that, so I just didn't even bother to show it off. Now, this room, or this floor is kind of confusing, and this is also something I tend to forget as well. Oh wait, yeah, before that, sorry, before that actually, I remembered to actually come back down here for the bombable wall that I said to remember. Wow, I can't even keep track of things I tell you. I am hypocritical, aren't I? So make sure your bombs are equipped so that you can use them, or just one of them right here, I suppose. And there it goes. Got a little bit of lag there. I suppose that's alright for a 24-year-old game being emulated on this 5-year-old laptop is probably not ideal, but that's alright. It looks good on here. Okay, now it's time to go back up to the 2nd floor. I really think that these probably shouldn't be considered full floors. I mean, these are technically basements because they're certainly underground. Like, this is not surface level. We are... Oh, I'm probably a good 30 floors below sea level right now. Just judging by Lake Hylia and what I remember. So you can jump over here, and in case you don't make it, you can press the B button mid-jump to do a jump attack. If you have the big Oron sword, I think it would help out a lot. Although I haven't compared it to the Master Sword. I don't know. And if you're just now joining in with this walkthrough and you see that I have the big Oron sword, it's not necessary to beat the game, but it certainly is a fun little toy to play with, I'll tell you that. Now over here I would equip the hero's bow again so that you can reach this. I'm not sure if you can reach that with the hookshot. I think it's just a little bit too far away. But if you can, then hey, that's great. You can save arrows any opportunity you can. Now, the reason why you have to shoot it and you can't just hit it and walk over here is because it lasts for such a short amount of time. Anyway, that chest is the compass. Oh yeah, be careful not to hit those spikes. So that chest is a compass, and I would very recommend you get the compass if this is your first playthrough, because it makes it so much easier to understand where you're going in this mystery of a temple. Now, I tried jump attacking over to this platform here, but it didn't work. Now, this platform stays with the level of the water, so regardless of what level the water is at, it is going to stay with it. Now, in here, be careful. Come in here and look up into this hole in the ceiling, and you'll find a blue Tektite wanting to jump on you. So be sure to step out of the way and use your sword to kill it, or whatever you prefer. You could just avoid it, I guess. I don't know how, but you can. I never do. Now in here the door is locked, but that doesn't matter because you don't need to go back. And this wall tile here is just a Triforce. So play Zelda's Lullaby and it will rise the water level. One interesting thing I find about the locked door behind me is that there's no puzzle to open it. You walk through it, and then it's always going to lock itself. And there's no apparent puzzle to open it, ever. And there isn't. I mean, I'm going to tell you, someone who's played this game for years, there is no way to open that door. Which is very weird. You can only access it from one side. It's a one-way door, you could say. Interesting. I'm not sure how they were able to program a door that cannot be unlocked from one side, but they were able to. Now over here to the east side, this is another thing I tend to forget about normally in playthroughs. So go ahead and switch on the iron boots through the equipment subscreen if you're a console player, or just prefer to equip them as an item if you're a 3DS player. Go ahead and pull this block here. And if you don't do it, then you'll kind of have to do some backtracking. Not all that bad if you don't, but it certainly helps to do it now. Now, I tried just to avoid taking off the iron boots, even though I had to anyway, so I just sped up that whole clip because I'm not very good at aiming on this emulator, as I've said many a walkthrough. Okay, out here in the center again, I just wanted to snipe this blue Tektite. I'm not very good at knowing their jump pattern. Sometimes they stop, sometimes they sink in the water. Don't quite understand their AI, I suppose. Again, you don't have to kill these. You probably could just run past them, but they kind of give me trouble. Yeah, see, look at that. I should probably stop trying to jump attack over to this platform here, because I keep falling under it. It's just far enough away to where you just can't, which is very sad. In this room, do be careful, because on the corners of the wall here, or on the sides of this door frame here, there are two keys, and they're probably going to want to hurt you. Now, I try to jump off into this one, just the platform on the top, and then slowly jump down to the bottom, but that's fine too, I suppose. Now, you want to use the hookshot to climb up all of these four platforms here. And do keep in mind that if you touch the water or the slope, then you can't really get off of it. You'll just kind of slide into the bottomless pit, and then you'll just have to restart the room. And these platforms do move, so I wouldn't advise taking your time with them. No pressure. Once you're finally done, in the next room here, it doesn't seem like there's much to do in here, but believe it or not, there is. Kind of. So this crystal switch is interesting. Instead of being just empty or green, this one is either blue or red. And this crystal switch is unique in a way that there are two settings to this puzzle. The water and the dragon head statues can be raised, or they can be lowered. And right now they are raised. So the crystal switch head is blue. And then if I hit it again with a hook shot, and again, it's not going to show the red dot on a crystal switch for some reason. I don't know why, but it didn't. In the 3DS version, it's easier to tell where you're aiming, of course, well, because of gyroscope aiming, which is a very useful feature that I quite like a lot. But in this version, you don't have that. But also because there's sort of like a laser, almost like a laser pointer, that you can see directly from where the hookshot is to the object you're attaching to. But this one's just a red dot, which is, I mean, it's helpful enough, but I suppose it'll do. So you're going to need to keep hitting the crystal switch to change the position of these platforms every so often. And somehow the hookshot can even reach it from up here, even though it doesn't look like it. Alright, that's the last time you have to hit that switch, I promise. I know it's irritating. So up here there are two like-likes up ahead. I mean, Tektites up ahead. There's just one like-like right there. And thankfully, even though it looks like it, he can't reach you from the other side of these spikes. One quick spin will kill it, although it is worth mentioning that if you aren't very good at quick spins, then just lure it to one side, use the hookshot to get up to the ceiling there, and then you can also use the hookshot to briefly stun the like, and then you can just hit it with the Biggoron sword. And because the Biggoron sword is so sharp and painful, it will kill it in 1 or 2 hits. Now in this room it doesn't seem to be anything apparent, except you'll notice that as you pass through the halfway point of the room, your reflection and your shadow are gone. Now I never noticed that the first few times playing because I just didn't quite pay attention to that much detail. But then you look over to the room and it looks like there's some kind of figure standing underneath the dead tree. So you get close and you Z-target it, and you're faced with Dark Link, or I guess in my case Dark Connor, because I named him Connor at the beginning of the playthrough. Everyone has a dark side, and I suppose Link is no exception, so now we're fighting his own. Or I guess rather this is my own, so this is my dark side, guys. Now Dark Link is very interesting because he mimics your moves, and the way that you fight him is whatever attack he did, you must do the opposite of. So, for example, what I mean by that is if you're slicing vertically and he's slicing vertically, you have to slice him horizontally instead to attack him. And then you just keep doing the same thing until you defeat him. Now he appears behind you every time, as you can see, and he gets slowly darker after every hit until he dies. And then whenever he does die, you'll see the room slowly fades into an actual room with walls and a ceiling that you can see. And the island with the tree is gone, so that was cool. I thought that was one of the coolest tricks, and I was thinking, whoa, how did they program it to do that? That was amazing. In this room here is probably the greatest reward you could ever get in a Zelda game. Another hookshot, or really a hookshot upgrade, the Longshot. It's like whenever you download the new iOS update. To all you iPhone users out there. Anyway, you don't have 2 hookshots, sadly. This is not like Skyward Sword or Twilight Princess, where you get 2. But rather, you just have an upgraded hookshot. You have a Longshot. Now, it is a question as to what he does with the other one. It's just kind of gone. It's like whenever you get the Ocarina of Time after the Fairy Ocarina. And speaking of the Ocarina of Time, play the Song of Time to get rid of this time block and fall down this room, which looks sort of like a snake on your map, but that doesn't have anything to do with the room. Anyway, Navi will tell you to watch out for the vortexes that will swallow you up. And what she means by that is that there are these holes that will slowly... Oh man, I was very indecisive here as to where to put them. There are these holes that will eat you up, and then you'll be trapped forever. And then I guess Link will drown and die, even though I'm wearing a blue shirt, because blue shirts help you breathe underwater. I wouldn't advise testing that out, by the way. Now under here, you can see a Golden Skulltula along the wall here. Use the Longshot to kill it. And I'm going to try my best to refer to this as the Longshot from now on. I mean, if I slip up and call it the hookshot, don't bother roasting me in the comments. It works exactly the same way. Oh, and there's my Fitbit reminder reminding me to go to bed. Now, the Longshot as well functions exactly the same way as the hookshot. The only difference is that it extends twice as far. And you may not think that's very useful at first, but believe you me, it is, because there are so many places that are now available to me in this dungeon before. And this clip is still sped up because I screwed this up the first time, because of course I did. You want a hookshot onto Longshot, excuse me, I'm already slipping up. Longshot onto this chest, and even though I ran out of time, the game was gracious to me and let me go through bars like a ghost. That was pretty interesting. Now in this chest is a small key, very nice. Alright, through this door, or this doorway, this was the corridor we saw in the ceiling of this, or in the upper corner of this one room here. So that's how you access it. Now there's no way to access it from the bottom of this room. You can only access it through going through that room again. Alright, in here there's, well, we've been in here already, so you know this room well. Use your Longshot to make your way over to the beginning of this room again. And I was trying to remember if I needed the iron boots again to sink down to the bottom. Thankfully I didn't, though, because the water level's all the way up to the top, so there is no need for that. Now, oh, Link, he's trying to find the top of the water. I don't know why. It's like he's gasping for air. Look at how fast he's moving. Wow. Even though it doesn't matter, I'm wearing the Zora tunic. I mean, I'm wearing a blue shirt. Okay. I don't know why I bothered with this Tektite. I just really wanted to kill it, I suppose. Now this is the room again with the slopes and the platforms and the waterfall. And the reason why I'm entering it again is I didn't even mention this before. Oh, I fell again. I wanted those arrows, but well, they're gone now. I was trying to make this apparent. Oh, come on. Go in there. Now, I was trying to go ahead and... There you go. There's a golden skulltula on that wall. I didn't even mention that before, so can't believe it. Alright, remember the Pharaoh's Wind that I casted before? Now would be a good time to use it. If you did not cast Pharaoh's Wind, then just go to the room where we met Princess Ruto, and then float it to the top, and then you need to lower the water level by playing Zelda's Lullaby here. With that done now, also I like how even after you're not playing the Ocarina anymore, the B button still says stop instead of showing the sword. Just thought I'd point that out. In here now, this is sort of a place where I messed up the recording, because right now in this room there is a golden skulltula that I forgot to get until I was near the end of this video, but it still flows how I edited the video, so don't worry too much. Hopefully this won't be too confusing. So come up here like normal and then just play Zelda's Lullaby to raise the water level to the second floor. And if you're doing this again, even on a 3DS, it will still show the cutscene to that room again, but it doesn't matter. I don't have to go there anymore. Now, on this platform here, there is a golden skulltula way up there that is only accessible with the Longshot, so use that. And then after that, jump over and climb onto this platform and then go through the door again. Alright, don't worry about the fade in transition. I wasn't able to make it flow like nothing ever happened, so my apologies. What I did is I used Pharaoh's Wind again at the very end of the dungeon, but you don't have to do that. I just did that because I screwed something up, but it doesn't matter. Out here, towards the south side of this room, go ahead and shoot the eyeball switch, and I'm sure it will come to surprise to nobody that I did not do this successfully the first time, because this emulator is terrible with aiming. Now, shoot the eyeball switch and then use the Longshot to get into this target way over here. Honestly, it feels like it extends farther than twice as far. I feel like it extends more than that. I don't know, just to me it does. I mean, I'm sure it does exactly twice as far, but it feels longer than that. So push the block, and if you didn't move it the first way before, then you push it up into the block position, then you come over here, you come up this doorway, and then you can see the Tektite there. You jump down there, and then you enter the door through there again. A little bit of backtracking, but still I'll show you how to do it right the first time. Now, what you want to do is open up this chest here, and small key. Pretty nice. Nothing else here, just the small key. Now again, I will be not going that way. I can't come back through that way. You're going to want to use the Longshot again to come back up here. And then here we are again in the central room. there's only one more place of importance to go, and that is the northern room sections in the first floor. So I'll be showing you how to get there now, and I think I got hit by these spikes because these spikes like to hang out together in these groups, and for whatever reason you can't shield while falling. You can't move at all while falling, even though you can move as much as you want while trying to surface. Climb up the ledge here in the back and pull out your long shot because there's a target right above the door here to the north. Now you have to have the long shot to access this. The hook shot isn't far enough. In this room this room is quite large, and there are 6 blue Tektites here in the water. I recommend you shoot maybe at least a couple of these just to get them out of the way. On the 3DS version, I understand this is easier because you have the gyroscope aiming and you don't have my trash sniping abilities, and I still don't know the pattern of these things yet. And I'm just sacrificing all my arrows for these. And it was about at this point where I thought, 3 is enough, that's fine. I guess you could maybe sink down to the bottom of these guys and use the long shot on them just to quickly stun them, although that won't really, I suppose, keep them stunned for very long. But anyway, that doesn't matter because, well, in the next room here, there are stingers here, and we have not seen these guys since Lord Jabu Jabu's belly. It's been a while. But these guys behave a little bit different from the ones inside Jabu Jabu because these ones here, of course, these can actually swim around and attack you if you get too close, so it's good to maintain your distance. Just shoot them from afar. Don't run out of arrows like I almost did. You can see you can shoot them here, and maybe you can open those jars, slash them for extra arrows, but I didn't do that, so that was quite disappointing. Now in here there are 2 cracked walls. They both have different textures, and I don't know why, but there are 2 cracked walls. Now, just blow them off with a bomb, as you can see. You can tell they're both cracked walls because you can hit them with your sword, and then they will make the ting sound, so that you know. But behind them there's this hidden, this hallway here where they push block. So go ahead and just push the block, or pull it. Well, actually no, pulling it won't do you any good, you have to push it. Now that it is pushed though, let's go ahead and go to the other side where I can pull it out again. And it gets a little bit repetitive here, having to jump back and forth in the water, but sacrifices need to be made. Well, especially in this temple. This is, as I said in the beginning of this video, this is most players' least favorite part of the game. So, good to get all the annoying things out of the way now. You know, the rest of this game, I mean, there's still annoying elements to it, but, I mean, it's still a lot more fun after it. But now that this crescent moon block gets pushed over, or I suppose it doesn't have to be crescent moon because in different versions it's not going to be. But as this block finally gets pushed into the water, it's going to hit the floor switch and then the water level will rise up. And this doesn't affect any of the other rooms, just this one. So I wasn't sure if that was something to consider or not, but it doesn't. So climb up these stairs and then just go through the door here. And it's going to lock behind you, but again, I don't think there's a puzzle to open up this door as well. I decided to shoot the Tektites here, and oh, that was amazing. Unfortunately, that is the only amazing archery I get to demonstrate in this video because the rest of it really isn't all that impressive. So, be very careful when stepping on this switch. As you can see, I totally messed that up. And with these spouts of water, you see you can't just jump into them again because it will slowly just push you out to the side. So you're going to need to use the long shot to get back up here. And the tricky part with this switch is not only does it make the water spouts go up, it also keeps the door on the other side unlocked. So you can actually skip the third one there, although it's kind of difficult. I only do it because I am a skilled player. You know you've played too much Ocarina of Time when stuff like that seems easy to you. Then again, I guess I haven't played too much Ocarina of Time because I still can't aim and I'm still not good at archery, so I guess I have more of my life to waste away. Well, not while I'm in school. Behind this waterfall here there is a Golden Skulltula token, but do be careful because, well, there are boulders falling down this hole. And I'd recommend you put your iron boots on now and you just wait for the boulder to fall, and then you just go down here yourself. Now it is a mystery to where these boulders come from, of course, and how they don't just fall down here, because there's no surface or anything stopping them. They just fall. You should have one small key, and if you don't, you might want to rewind the video because you're going to need a small key for this next part here. So, I've had many playthroughs where I've come to this part and I realize I don't have a small key, and then I look at my map for any empty chests and then think, oh shoot, I missed that key, and then I have to backtrack crazy. Anyway, if you do have that small key, good job, and then beyond this door is the boss key. Good job. Now we can go ahead and fight the boss of this temple. So, oh, there are some fairies here in these jars. If you want to get if you want to put a fairy in your bottle for this boss fight, although to be honest, I don't think it's really all that necessary. This boss is kind of laughable. Back in this room here, I decided to just dive. Yeah, avoid putting the iron boots on one more day. That's not going to happen though. I think I'm done with the iron boots for pretty much the rest of this dungeon. I mean, this video is almost over now. I've done quite a lot. Now, as I mentioned before, I had to edit this video in a certain way because I forgot a Golden Skulltula, but I collected it right before going to the boss. So, it doesn't matter though. I was able to edit this video in such a way to where it flows well, and this is still a smooth guide for the water temple. When you get back in the water here, do be careful. These spikes are going to want to attack you, so do avoid them. And I get hit by them almost all the time. I'm not really sure why they're right there whenever you come into this room, but they are, and that's that. And they can't float up. The spikes only fall. So once they're down there, they're stuck down there. So I guess if you kill them, then they'll be gone. Back in this room, you know this room. You come in here, and then you just wait for the Tektite to fall down, and it's going to hit you. Or if you're not careful. Oh, and it drops arrows. That's pretty nice. So I would use the Longshot to hit this crystal switch, since we know it'll reach now. Because the Longshot is awesome. The hookshot is just lame. It's not. The hookshot is still awesome item in this game. Anyway, on the other side of this door, again, you're going to need to equip the Ocarina of Time. Now, well, go ahead and play Zelda's Lullaby, Royal Family Song, I guess. And the water level is raised up again. Do be careful for this blue Tektite here. It can hit you. Oh yeah, and I was checking my menu at this point to see if I had all Golden Skulltulas in this temple. Now, during this recording, I didn't, but if you've been following with me in this video, you should have all the Golden Skulltulas, because it was at this point I forgot the one inside of the central pillar rooms. So I had to... What I did was I came over here and I just used Pharaoh's Wind to create a warp point, and then I just used that warp point whenever I went to get the Golden Skulltula. But thankfully though, if you followed along with me, you shouldn't have to do that. I was just being very forgetful and couldn't remember. That's why it looks like I used Pharaoh's Wind here. Now this room is really annoying because you have these moving spikes here, and this hill's very steep, so you can't really... Well, it's not a hill, it's a slope. It's a steep, so you walk up it really slowly. So if you do it the way that I do it here, you should not get hit. And it's important to notice that you can't roll or anything, because it'll just make you fall and you'll have to start over, and it's really irritating. I've almost died to this room. Anyways, since it is time to fight the boss, let's go ahead and enter with a brave and courageous heart. Not that you need it, it's just some blue water. Looks like someone was trying to make Kool-Aid. Now what makes Morpha an interesting boss is she pretty much only exists as this one weak point, and what you have to do here is you need to use the Longshot to bring him out, or her, I don't know if it really has a gender, it's just kind of this blob. And there's actually a trick to fighting this. Now, if you stand in the corner, then he can't reach you. And what it does is it just tries to grab you and throw you in the water. So if you pull it out with a long shot, you can actually trap it in the corner and then just beat the heck out of it with your sword. And I actually did that a couple times, and I was able to defeat this boss below 20 seconds or something. It was quite funny. I could hold a world record and don't even know it, but oh well. I guess all glory must be seen to be counted glory. Now, go ahead and use the long shot, and as you can see, I trapped him in the corner, so I can just beat him, and it doesn't even give him the chance to return back to his body of water. So, essentially, that is Morpha, and that is the Water Temple. So join me next time, where we will be continuing on towards the next dungeon.
You